your screen, and that means we are live. Let me do this intro real quick.
But you know this shit's fire.
What is up, everybody? Welcome to another live Pin the Gas podcast, and today we are live at VIR. I'm down here with the Azure Races, hanging out with my friends Brandon Posh, Stephen Humphreys, Jason Doss, Gus Rodeo, Riston Grigg. I'm having the absolute best time like I did yesterday. But ladies and gentlemen, it's an absolute honor to have the legend himself, Philip Hart, on the podcast. What is going on, Philip?
What's up, my man? How are you?
Dude, I'm living the best life right now. I'm at the racetrack. It's a beautiful weather outside. What more could you ask for?
That's awesome, dude. Yeah, I wish I was there with you.
Me too, buddy. Me too. Well, yeah. So, Philip, man, how's your day been so far?
The day's been great. The wife and I went down to Charlotte yesterday evening and stayed in a nice hotel called the Omni and went to a nice dinner and woke up, had brunch this morning, then scurried on back here to Granite Falls, North Carolina to do the podcast with you, man.
Oh, man, I love it, dude. Absolute honor, man. Listen, we got so much to talk about. So, people that are listening to this now are that are going to listen to it, man. Me and Philip had an awesome phone conversation. We was on there for like an hour,
Yeah.
and we talked about sponsorships and how to grow the
Yep.
sport and all that. But I think we'll save that one for part two. We might have enough time to get into that. But I want to start it off how I always do, because I'm always interested. Everybody's got their own unique story, right, Philip? So what is your story?
Yeah, so my story is starts with my dad, to be honest with you. So my dad was riding on the street and he was riding pretty hard, and he owned his own business and the business was doing well, and he was out riding around with his buddies and getting faster and faster and faster, and he started being one of the fast guys on the street, and then one day he took a corner a little bit too quick up the mountain, and he lost it, hit a guardrail. And so by the grace of God, he kind of hit the curb going to the guardrail, which is actually a good thing. So he kind of hit it with his shoulder and then hit the guardrail like flat on his back. And so, because if he had gone through, it could have messed him up pretty good. They're going up the mountain ripping up there. So coming back, one of his buddies, Alan Prophet and Scott Harwell, who was he's not old, he's an older racer. So back in my day, or back in the day when my dad started racing, 02, 03, 04, the super fast guys for some of the national events were Lee Acree, Opie Kaler, Scott Harwell, John Jacoby. Some of those guys, when I was getting into racing, those guys were the rippers back then. And so Dad was pretty good friends with Scott Harwell, and Scott Harwell and Alan Prophet told my dad, they're like, look, man, you're gonna have to take this stuff to the track. You're gonna have to quit riding so hard on the street. And my dad's like, let's go. Let's do this right now. Can we go right now? and so he took it to the track, and I think that was in 01 or 02. He went to his first track day. And just kind of cut the story short a little bit, Dad got into racing, started out doing track days, and then got into racing with Wira and fell in love with it. And obviously, I think I was 11 or 12 years old at the time, so like my dad was the coolest dad in the world to race motorcycles, and so I fell in love with it too, right? And that was back in the time where you had Ben Spies and Matt Mladen and Nicky Hayden, Miguel Duhamel, Josh Hayes back then was running Formula Extreme. I mean, in the 600s. So I mean, I grew up in this atmosphere that was just awesome for racing. And so, I wanted to get into it too, right? So I wanted to get into it. So my dad kindly convinced my poor mother that it was going to be a good idea for me to go racing. And so he got me into it. We got a GS 500 because at the time they didn't have, a lightweight class like they do now with the 400s and stuff like that. So, and so got on that bike and slow, the story kind of went from there. Started doing well in 06 and 07. Lee Acree actually had they used to have this thing called the Suzuki Cup, Chris. I don't know if you remember what that is or not, but
Yeah, I
Suzuki
remember.
would have these races, right? And it was a global racing championship, and the I think one of the last rounds was held at the GNF, because the GNF used to be at Road Atlanta, which is actually kind of cool with Weira. And during that GNF, during the Grand National Final, they would have the Suzuki Cup race, and Lee Acree, um, that year it was the GSXR 600, I believe, and so Lee Acree actually got one of those bikes from Kevin Schwantz. And well, I'm not sure if it was from Kevin but he actually had an opportunity to get it. And Kevin was kind of over the whole thing at Road Atlanta at that time. And so Lee and Lori were Christians like we are, like my family has always been, and so they were were praying about the situation, and for whatever reason, God felt like they felt like God was telling them to let me use that bike for you. And so in '07, I rode an '06 600. It was a proper bike, that I was on at the time, and before then, it was always kind of putting things together. I had an '04 600. It was a really, really nice 600, but still a little bit behind some of the guys that had some of the faster bikes and so on and so forth. So being able to have for Lee to give me that bike for the season was huge. And so um, my dad and the way that he operated as a really good father was that the deal was that he would make sure I had a bike, but then it was my job as a young teenager to work for entry fees and tires and stuff like that. And so that's what I did, and I worked from the time I was 12 or 14 years old all the way up, and earned my earned my entry fees and my tires. And he'd let me go into debt with him a little bit on that, but I had to work my way into it. And '07 was racing in the amateur national championship with Weira, and was second in the nation in like two or three divisions. And I was 17 at the time. Um, there was one guy out there, Russell Weichel, who was just blisteringly fast, and so he basically took all the wins that season. But I was finishing behind Russell, and so Russell went on to race with Vezra the next year, and then I think he may have even raced for Team Hammer in it wasn't even Moto America back then, it was AMA. So I think he raced with them for a little bit. Um, but unfortunately, in 2008, my mom got ovarian cancer. So wrong sleeve. So ovarian cancer awareness. We have the ribbons on our shirts now and on our leathers too. So um,
My I don't mean to cut you off, but
no, you good.
my grandma had the same thing.
Yep.
It was yeah, man. So I feel you on that
Yes.
big time.
Yes. It was a little brutal for an 18-year-old to kind of have to
Yeah.
deal with that. But it it was interesting time. And so essentially when that happened, my dad actually got his pro card and everything like that too, because we were still riding together. So my dad was an AMA pro, riding with some of these other guys, but we had to cut the 2008 season short. And so because of my mom's cancer and everything, and we felt like the right thing to do was to kind of sell everything that we had and support her. And as an 18-year-old, you don't understand why things happen the way they do, and even as a grown ass adult, you don't either sometimes, but
It's a fact.
things happen for a reason. And I will say this, that I hated that had to happen, and we had to quit racing because that was my absolute passion. I mean, I had dreams of going pro. I had dreams, of going MotoGP, regardless of whether that would have been realistic or not. I mean, it's still a dream, right? And so uh, that was what happened at the time, and got out of racing. And looking back on it now, I'm really glad that was the decision that we made, because it gave me so much time to spend with her, right? So my sister and I were both homeschooled, which was really good, and it was really beneficial because mom was the teacher, right? So we got a lot of time spent with her. And then she eventually, she fought it the first time around, right? And she recovered and was doing really, really well. And then in the end of 2010, 2013 it came back. And when it came back, man, it came back with a vengeance and took her in 2014. So, um, you know, I feel extraordinarily blessed to have that time with her. And, um, you know, I would have given up all the MotoGP World Championships, all of the, you know, AMA championships, all the WERA championships, whatever level I would have been able to get to for that time. And so I feel really blessed to have had that with her. Kind of boot scooting along over to 2020. Um, the world seems to fall apart, right?
Right.
Um, I got married in 2013. I had my wife and I had our daughter in 2019. The world falls apart, and my wife and I decide that, hey, now's a good time to go racing. So I don't, you know, it was kind of crazy because I was like, you know, from 2008, you know, I wanted to go back, right? So I wanted to be back at the track. I've always wanted to be back at the track at whatever level I could try to compete at. And when you have a 12-year hiatus um, from racing, you don't really have a good idea of what you can do and what your potential looks like. And I remember getting back on track and being like, oh boy, I might be in trouble. Um, and then things just started clicking and things just started working. First year I was back, struggled a little bit, fractured my back, broke several ribs. I mean, it was rough the first year back, and we started back on an '04 600. So the bike was amazing, but it was not the most competitive bike I've ever been on, you know? And so, but it was, you know what, it didn't matter. I was back. And then that next year, I mean, God just blessed us. God blessed the entire team. And we got two national championships with WERA, you know, as an amateur. So um, then after that, we had a big sponsor, Vogue Towers, come through for us, and they helped us purchase, you know, the S1000 that I'm riding now, and sent it down to Mike Godin and Kevin down at KWS, and they built that thing from the ground up. Essentially, from they turned it from a street bike to what it is today, and it is a proper bike today. I mean, it is a ripper, and and so I was talking to Blake Davis after CMP, and Blake was like, "Yeah, man." He's like, "Because I got out in the lead, you know, off the start. You know, I was leading everybody during the endurance race, and so Blake gets behind me. And he's like, "All right." He's like, "I got Philip. You know, it's not a problem." And then we turned it up and get on the gas. And he's like, "Oh." No, that bike is fast. So, so the bike is good, right? So, it's you know, it was just kind of funny. So, I mean, you know, Blake eventually got around me, but I mean, it was pretty cool for that. But the bike's really, I say all that to say that the bike's, you know, a really good bike. Now we've got a really good package. The team behind me is really good, and I can't I can't say more. You know, the only thing that I can say about my racing right now is that I wish I was doing more of it, and I wish I was on the track more often. But I think everybody, you know, maybe outside of some of the guys that you're watching today, can probably say that, you know, I would like to be on track more. Um, so I mean, outside of that, I mean, we've been extraordinarily blessed, and I have absolutely nothing to complain about or whine about. So
Man, what a journey, Philip. You know, it's
yeah,
I mean, everybody's got their own unique story, you know. And
yep,
speaking of, you know, you coming back into racing after 12 years, 11 years hiatus, not only
yep,
has the technology of the bikes changed, the leather's changed, the whole
yep.
game's
Tires,
changed, you know.
yeah, the
The
tires are huge.
tires,
Yeah,
yeah, the technology, you know. But back when you had started and your dad were racing, that was back in the heyday of motorcycle where people actually made money
yep,
racing, right?
yep.
And
That's
then
right. Yep.
and then you come back into it and nobody's making money into racing.
Yeah, no, and that was the thing that was a little difficult because that next season there was a really good chance that I was going to be able to do it for a living, um, and that was the dream, right? I mean, I remember talking with Kevin, um, and just being and him being like, you know, back when I started, he's like, it would be the coolest thing ever just to be able to make money racing,
Uh-oh.
right? And so it was. That's how it felt for me too at the time. And then you just get right there on the cusp of it and feel like, oh man, I could just about make it. You know, that was it was a rug that was ripped out from underneath us for sure. But again, I mean, uh, that time that we got to spend with my mom, you know, was I mean, you can't replace it. You can't say anything to that. I mean, that was just absolutely necessary in my life. So it was awesome. I mean, it
Yeah,
was great.
yeah. It's I feel you on that. I would give anything to go back and have one more day, one more hour, one more
Yeah,
time with my grandma
absolutely.
for sure. And I remember when my
Yep.
grandma was going through it, I'd go see her every day after work for like
Mhm.
3 or 4 hours, just sit with her, talk. She loved Elvis Philip, right? So I go in there and put on some
Yeah, dude,
Elvis
that's
music
awesome.
for her. Yeah, put on some Elvis music for her.
Yeah,
Read a book or whatever it is, just talk. Yeah,
that's
it's
awesome, dude.
yeah, I'm
That's
a big
awesome.
family man, so to me, my
Yep,
family's
same
everything.
here.
Um,
Same here.
so yeah, I feel
Just
you,
got
and
back
it's
last
like
weekend from visiting family in Ohio. So that was, I love it, dude. I absolutely love it.
it
If
is.
the
I
weather
go,
wasn't so dang cold up there during the winters, I might move up there with them, but it's super cold.
and that's
But
a
yeah, I'm a
fact,
family guy
right?
too, man. I love it.
I go eat dinner with my parents 2 times a week, to this day.
Nice. That's awesome.
So yeah, it's yeah, I take my son everywhere I can. I wanted to
Yep.
bring him to the track today. He looks at me and says, last night he was all gun ho about it. He's like, yeah, we're gonna get up, Daddy. We're gonna go to the track. I get up this morning. I was like, hey, it's time to get up. We're gonna go to VIR. He says, I just want to stay home and play Fortnite. I said, well, you stay home. I'm going to the track. You have fun with that, right? So yeah, I get it. It's but so when you come back, man, you had a massive accident, man. You broke your back and a couple ribs. How
Yeah.
how mentally challenging was that for you to come back and even stronger and even better?
I think the one advantage of coming back to the track as a 30-year-old versus, being on the track as a 17 or 18-year-old was the mentality of racing, and the mentality of coming back strong and whatnot. I mean, the crazy thing is that happened, and it was a minor fracture, right? So I wasn't paralyzed. It was basically a hairline fracture on my spine, on one of the vertebrae, right? So to say that I broke my back is probably a little melodramatic, um, but I was ready to ride the next day. I mean, you take two ibuprofens and two Tylenols at the same time. That's a strong combination. You're ready to rock and roll for anything. So
Yep.
that's what I did, and I was ready to go. I think the biggest thing from was mentally just like crap. I thought that I was good. I thought that I was getting back into it, and then just had this one instance where it was like, um, just a lapse of concentration more than anything, or maybe it was just taking a corner just a little bit too close. I think what I actually did, it was turn 5 at Road Atlanta, um, and I think I just touched the inside curb or the paint, and the front end just washed, and it was actually both ends. So it was really weird. It was really really weird crash. Because a lot of times, you get up from the crash and you're like, oh man, I tucked the front, or I did, push the front too much, or obviously high sides. Everybody knows what a high side is, and it's just throws you off of it. But this one was weird because it just, I mean, when it went, it just went, and it was gone. So it's just a situation where you're kind of just mentally hazed and just trying to figure that out. I think I think the biggest thing um, was the team around me, my wife specifically, because the next year when we got on the 1000, I was like struggle bussing hard. Because on that 600, I got to the point to where I was pushing the front, spinning up the rear, pretty much everywhere. So I felt comfortable enough on the bike to be able to push it, maybe not to the extent of the bike's limits, because I still wasn't super 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 fast. But I was getting comfortable enough with the bike moving around and doing what I needed it to do to be able to feel where everything was at. Um, and on the 1000, I get on the 1000. I'm like, all right, let's go push a little bit, and I can't feel anything. I can't, until it's too late, right? And so that was very very difficult. I think that season, the first season with the 1000, I had we only went to 4 weekends. We only had 4 weekends because we were waiting on parts from Germany. I think Tytler's in when would that would have been 2022. I think Tytler's in 2022. I think they bought all the BMW parts like in the world that existed. I think Tytler's bought all of them because there was nothing. So I had to wait until like July. I bought the bike in January. I had to wait till like July or August to even be on the track because the bike wasn't ready. And it wasn't KWS's fault. It was just like the parts are not available. And so I think we got 4 weekends that year in 2022, and then in those 4 weekends, I had 3 crashes, and they were all like substantial crashes, very painful crashes, very expensive crashes. It's the low side. I miss a low side. I miss just an easy low side where the bike flips over one time and you just get up and you're like, yeah, we're fine. We'll just drive the bike back to the pits. No, that did not exist in 2022 for me. I mean, I think I broke 12. I had 12 or 13 fractures on my ribs. I broke my pinky. I still can't bend it. Um, it was rough, but I think it's almost like kind of paying your dues to a certain extent. And then the other side of it is calming the heck down. And we just actually released the videos a couple days late, but we actually released Hart, which is our video series for this year. We were trying to run most of the National Endurance Series this year with Wira, and so we actually just released that video this morning. So people will be able to watch that after the podcast if they'd like as well, and maybe we can put it in the chat or the link to it in the chat or something like that at the end. But
Oh, for sure.
um, but one of the things that one of our writers, Mark Holden, was just asking for some advice because he jumped on a 1000 this year too, and he's like, hey man, what you got any advice for me on this 1000? And I was like, let the 1000 come to you. Let it, because I didn't, and I paid the price for it quite considerably. And then the other thing is, you've got so much power on the 1000s, even as controlled as the BMW is with traction control, wheelie control, and all that stuff. You really have to focus on fluidity and being smooth. And so I kind of harp on that quite a bit in that video. And you can always get on the gas a quarter to a half second faster, and you can always brake a quarter to a half second later. But you can do that stuff later. Get used to the bike and focus on being smooth. The old saying is slow is smooth and smooth is fast, right? So that was the biggest thing for me to have to learn, I think, was to not go out there and try to wrangle it like a bull like I was doing with that old 600. It was focusing on being smooth and fluid, and that's really, really helped. It's allowed me to go, going slower, taking a few steps back has really allowed me to leap forward, because this has been a really good year for me. I mean, I've really been blessed with presence on the track. Going slow allows you to be aware of what's going on, and God's just he's just gone like poof, and blessed me with just with that, and I can't say anything else other than that.
I love it, man. And let me ask you this, man, because I've heard quite a lot of stories of people coming from bikes with no electronics to all of a sudden this full array of traction control, anti-wheelie, engine brake, right? So how was that hard for you to wrap your head around, all the electronics coming from an 04 GSX-R?
I think a little bit of it was set up. We were speaking with Mike Fitzgerald one day last year and at Cycle Jam. I was like, Mike, I can't feel the bike. I said, I know every component, every part on this bike, the K-Tech suspension. I mean, Thermos Man came over, and set the bike up himself. Thermos Man did my suspension himself. I know the bike is good. I know it's right. I can't feel anything. I have no feeling in the bike. So he's like, he comes over and looks at the bike, and if you know Thermos Man at all, like he's like Gandalf the wizard. Like he comes over and he touches the bike and it's instantly better, right? So he came over and he's looking at a couple of things and he points at the swing arm and he goes, oh yeah, that's off. I was like, what do you mean it's off? It's like, I mean, it's bolted on there. He's like, no. Your settings off. Your settings off. I was like, okay, Mike, it's not going to matter, right? I mean, like, it's a swing arm adjustment. Who cares, right? I should still be able to feel the bike. He's like, just do it. And I was like, all right. So we did it. Had to borrow some parts from Jason Waters, because Jason's been a BMW guy for for a few years, and so we went, and I was like, Jason, can I please borrow some parts? And he's like, yeah, man, yeah. And so borrowed the parts, and then took it back to him after we were done. I go back on track, and I'm like, this is a brand new bike. Here's a brand new. It was like, oh, there it is. There's the bike. There's the front end. There's the rear end. So I think for me, it was more setup on the bike. So I think it's probably easier for somebody to go into an older 600 and then jump onto to another brand that doesn't have as much of of that stuff, but BMW it's a very, very good bike, but the setup is extraordinarily specific on it. And if you don't get it right, it almost feels like you can't ride it properly. So we got the settings right, we got the setup right, and then it was a totally different bike. Man, it was great. So I think one of the things that traction control can do for you though, if you're coming off of a 600, is you say, oh, I've got traction control, so you get a little bit handsy with it because you trust the traction control, and it's really, really good. But if you don't understand traction control, it'll still mess you up. And so I think that's the biggest thing and that's kind of where I'm coming back to is the slow and smooth, smooth is fast kind of thing. You really have to allow the 1000 to come to you more than you kind of go out there and wrangle it like a 600. Um, with the electronics, they're there to help you. They're not there to save you from, in my case, being an idiot, right? And just saying, okay, well, we're just going to be mid corner and I'm just going to go full lock. And then, halfway through the air, you're like, oh, I guess that was wrong. So, I mean, so it's just one of those things. You just gotta, and dude, I gotta tell you this. When I was struggle busting so hard, there were so many guys: Daniel Goodnight, Taylor Knapp, Stefano Mesa, and so many other guys that came over to my pits and were like, "Hey, man, you good?" I'm like, "No, I am not good. Like, I don't know what's going on. Like, I know how to ride a bike, but I am struggling right now." And dude, they were so cool. They were awesome. My wife, there was one wreck that I had at Roebling, and it was like the third race. So I'd already had two wrecks that season. Um, on this one, it hurt, but at the same time, I wasn't really worried about the pain as much as I was just like mentally just screwed up. And she came up to me and she's like, "Are you going out?" And I was like, I don't know. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to go back out for race 2 or not, because I was screwed up. The guy, my team, Brendan Triplett, my dad, and Wayne Lowry and Colin Lowry, they got the bike back up together. I mean, it was good. It was ready to go. I was not. And so she came over to me and she said, "Are you afraid to go out?" I said, "Well, yeah, I guess. I mean, I just I can't get my head wrapped around this bike." And she said, "We do not live in fear." And she said, "If this is fear, then you get your butt back on that bike and you go back out there and you do whatever you got to do to get back on that horse and ride it." And she's like, "Because fear does not control us and we are not going to live in that." And dude, holy cow. I mean, I just started bawling. Like, I started bawling like a little girl, and she was right. And I went out there and did the slowest laps I've ever done ever on a motorcycle. But guess what? I got back on the bike. And so the next weekend when we went to the GNF, things started clicking and things started getting better. And I think that was the biggest thing was the mental, just, having really great people around me and a wife that doesn't, you know, that doesn't back down. I mean, she's not pushing me to go race, but she's like, "Look, no, this is your thing, and if you're going to do it, I'm going to support you in it. And if I'm going to support you in it, then I'm going to support you all the way." And just being there for me, um, that to have that team around me is invaluable. I mean, that's more valuable than any championship that I could ever win. And so that was a huge thing for me. That was really big. So getting on the bike, learning the bike was a struggle. Learning the traction control, learning the electronics was a little bit of a struggle, but it's because I was going out there and trying to make the bike do what I wanted it to do. I think if you know I think if another rider was like going from a 600 or even a 650 or a 400 or whatever and jumping up to a 1000, and they knew that they needed to go out there and be the slow guy for a little bit, and they were okay with that, they'd be fine. They would be fine. Allow yourself time, allow yourself to work up to it, because I wasn't, and I was impatient, and you know, I was trying to go out there and be Jason Waters right out of the gate. That's what I was trying to do. I was trying to be him, and I was trying to be Taylor, and I was trying to be all these other guys who are super, super fast, and it don't work that way, buddy. So,
No, it don't. No, it does. Now you got to crawl before you can walk, right? That's as the old
yep,
saying
yeah,
goes. It's
yeah,
and it also teaches you patience, right?
yes,
A lot of that also comes with self patience, self perseverance, and it's very important. What you said, Philip, and I say it all the time. It's so important to have a good crew around you, people that truly believe in you and that will never let you give up, right? Even if
yeah,
you show up to the track and everything's just shit. You're like, I can't. The bike's shit. I
Yep.
can't do anything. I'm slow. You have the person or those people and say, look, instead of focusing on what you're not doing right, instead of focusing on what you're doing wrong, focus on what you do right, right, and
Yeah.
concentrate on
Exactly.
that. You can do it. It's
Yep.
all a mental game. Racing is not just racing. Life is
Yeah.
such the biggest mental mind game, right? It's all on
It
how
is.
you approach the situation, and there's people that are behind you and stand behind you that believe in you wholeheartedly. Helps you overcome it in ways people that don't have that, they struggle a lot more to do
Yeah.
that, right? So it's
Yeah.
very important to have
And
it.
that's the thing. I think that anybody can have it. Anybody can have that mental clarity to a certain extent. I think it's it's one of those things. It's not unobtainable, but the mental struggle, the mental stress of life, of racing, of all the things, is just that, right? It's like it. It's weird to describe because I struggle with work sometimes. Like I struggle with the mental aspect of my job, um, but it's all mental. Like, and it's almost like it's fake. It's almost like it doesn't exist. Like, so just like get out of your own head and stop. Like you're screwing yourself up. You're messing yourself up. And so I think having a great team allows them to kind of knock you over the head and be like, hey, wake up. This is not who you are. This is not, just kind of focus on the small inputs that matter. Focus on the things that that you're good at, like you said, right? Focus on the things that are working well and work on the things that aren't. And work on them
Yep,
slowly, like chip away, chip away, chip away, chip
yep.
away.
No, you're right, because I feel like even in everyday with racing, it's like you find a negative. It's like a mental barrier just
Yeah.
come up, right? You don't see it, but you feel it, right? And it's always in
Right.
your mind, and it's eating you alive from the inside out. Even though you smile, you put on this good front, yada yada yada.
Yeah.
It's how you hurdle that and push it over, right? And that's
Yeah.
it, what we've been talking about is very important. It's like with me in the podcast. If I didn't have my wife support me as much as she did, it'd be hard for me to do as many as I do a week, right?
Dude,
Um,
I don't know how single people are successful. I don't understand it.
yeah,
I don't understand it. I really don't, because my wife is my rock. I mean, she is absolutely phenomenal. Um,
so how long
I
you
just
two been married?
11 years this October.
Congratulations, man.
Thanks, man. Yeah, thank
Me and
you.
my wife got married in 2008, and we actually met on a blind date, believe it or not.
Really? That's awesome.
Yeah, so yeah, yeah. So that's where we're at. And you're right. It's always good to have. I don't see how people do it either. It's maybe they have something different chemistry in their brain, and I don't know. It's
Yeah.
amazing to see people be able to achieve what they can without uh, that supporting team, because that's what it is. Not just your wife,
Yeah.
but she's also a team, right?
Oh yeah.
To
Yeah.
have that is everything. And then you show up to the race and she's not there, you're missing something. Something is
Yes.
missing that
Yeah.
weekend. It's
Yeah.
like
Yeah. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't feel good. There's this piece of this puzzle that's not in place, and I really need it to be in place.
Right.
Um,
That's exactly right.
yeah, I feel you on that, man. It's so. Let me ask you this, Philip. What do you do for work?
Okay, so I am an account manager for a company called Advanced Control Solutions. We're a robotics and automation distributor based out of Marietta, Georgia. And I work out of my home office in Granite Falls, North Carolina, but we actually have another office in Pineville, near Charlotte, North Carolina. So yep, I've got my territory of Western North Carolina, and so I go out and try to help people with automation and robotic systems, whether they're a smaller company and they're trying to um, dip into the automation world because it, they either don't know, or there's hiring people right now is actually quite difficult. And so a lot of turnover with larger companies, smaller companies. I mean, the turnover rate for employees is quite substantial right now. So I help people alleviate some of those pain points, and sell them automation and robotic systems that can fulfill their manufacturing needs.
Nice, nice, and obviously, I'm really good friends with Ryan Wolf and his family, Erica and
Yeah,
David, right? So,
yeah,
and you sponsor like Brandon Triplett. I had a conversation with him.
yeah,
He's actually coming on the podcast. I'm
yeah. I saw
really
that. That's
looking forward
awesome.
to that. Yeah,
Yeah.
he's absolutely amazing. I actually met him, and I didn't realize it. He's like, "Yeah, me and you met at Road Atlanta," and I was like, "Really?" He's
Ah,
like,
nice.
Yeah, yeah." So, so you sponsor Ryan and Brandon too. So, how did all that come about?
Sure. Um, so along with, I mean, my racing endeavors, I mean, I want to go as far as I can go. I want to go, I mean, my dreams are still MotoGP at 34 years old, right? I mean, I still, for whatever reason, in my delusional mind, think that that's possible, right? Um, so
You never know.
regardless of the reality of that or not, right? That's the dream, right? But when I was when I was coming up through racing, I had so much support. I had so many people help me. I had the Lee Akeries and the Opie Kaylors of the world, and I mean, Kevin and Mike at KWS have been with me and my dad since '02. I mean, they just, I mean, they've been awesome, right? So I think to kind of come back to your original point, it's, how do I want to say this? Getting into racing can be very difficult, because you don't know what things to do right. You don't know what things to do well. You don't know what not to do. And so I think getting into it is a little bit challenging, and uh, um, maybe a little frustrating at times, because it's not just about taking a street bike and throwing some Dunlop slicks on it, regardless of how good those slicks are, right? It's not about that. It's about kind of everything. And so the Lord just put it on my heart to kind of, you know, help where I could, right? And so Ryan Wolf and I met in at at VIR, actually, in turn 4. Yeah. And so that whole situation was basically just from God, because there's no way he and I would have met any other way unless he was already at the racetrack. And so I met with him, and I met with David, and I hadn't met Erica yet, but because I don't think she was there that weekend. But um, this little 15, 16-year-old kid, is hanging out, and our generator stopped working. And so my wife and I and our daughter Zoe, we were in our RV. We had a smaller RV at the time. It was like a 28, 30-foot RV. So we brought that to the track to camp at, and we didn't have air conditioning. And so David let us use one of his generators because our generator stopped working, and we could not get it working. Could not get it working. Like, generator worked fine at home. Generator has since worked since then. Like, I think God just like, no, you need to meet David. And so and so and so David was like, yeah, man. He's like, just use ours. I was like, David, I don't want to take your generator, man. He's like, no, you're good. You're good. You know how David is. And
Yeah.
so he brought his generator over, and so we just kind of connected. We just kind of met. And Ryan was wanting to get into racing, so um, that, I was like, well, I mean, I don't mind to help you out. And so David came over to me afterwards, and he's like, hey, like, do you really mean that? Like, are you being serious? And I was like, absolutely. He's like, no, I mean, like, for real. Are you serious? I was like, dude, I will I will help show you. I'll help you as much as I can, right? And so that's been the whole process, right? Helping them find bikes, helping them get signed up for the first time as a racer. And that first year that he got into racing, I wasn't at the track because we were waiting on BMW parts, right? And so I wasn't there for the first 6 months, but I was on the phone with him just about before every session and just about after every session. And he would say, man, the front end's doing this and blah 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 blah, and we would kind of go through those situations, and I would help him out. Um, so that's kind of how all that started. And then, as we bring on sponsors and stuff like that, then I would try to help them out as much as I could. This year was been a pretty good year for us, so from a sponsorship level, and so we've been able to bless both Brennan and Ryan a little bit, not a whole lot, but a little bit. And so yeah, I mean, is basically trying to trying to give these guys a similar experience to what I got. The guys that were helping me were paying it forward, and now I'm just trying to pay it forward myself a little bit too. Um, I think the situation with Brennan was quite similar. Brennan was a little different. Brennan was riding on the street, and he was riding around hard and wanted to get into racing. And we back?
Yeah, we're back.
All right, cool.
All right.
So the situation with Brennan was a little bit different. Kind of similar because God kind of just put our paths together, but it was a little bit different. But Brendan was riding on the street, and he was riding quite aggressively on the street. And so I told him, I was like, look, man, I don't mind to help you out. I was like, I've got this new BMW that I'm riding. The 04 600 is parked, right? I'm not using it, probably not going to ride it again. If you want to ride it, I'll get you on that bike. I'll get you signed up. We'll get you through the whole racing process and kind of go from there. And that's what we did. So in 2023, he ran the 04 600 and won a national championship with it, like the first year. So I was like, oh, wow, that's pretty amazing. So, so both of these guys have probably more talent than I actually have. I've just got, a little bit more experience and a dad who can see things that my dad, John Hart, is our rider coach. And I don't understand, but he can go out there, he can see one line that I'm running and be like, you're off. You need to run this line. I'm like, okay, Dad, whatever. And then I do run the line, and it's like saves so much time. I think one track we went to Talladega back when I was running the 04 600. We did a track walk. And when we were doing the track walk, Dad is like showing me different lines and stuff. He's like, where are you here? What are you doing here? What are you doing there? Came back in the next morning's practice. I saved like half a second to a second. By the end of the day, I was 2 seconds a lap faster around that track than I was the day before. So it was just really weird. Like, it was really weird, but Dad's really good at seeing stuff like that. So I think that, I've got that experience, but these guys have so much talent that, they can really do something in this sport if they stick to it and if they want to.
Oh, for sure. That's it, man. That's a beautiful thing. It's always good to help when you can because our sport's so expensive to get into, So
yeah,
it's people like you that are supporting the up and coming legends of our sport is huge. I love it, dude. Awesome job.
Well, and I was, I was extremely blessed, man. I mean, and I still am, right? I still am. I still have a great team around me, and I want as many people as possible. If I could have the whole pits running under our banner, I would, right? But obviously that's not the case. So we have to take the ones that God puts in front of us and try to support them as best as we can. So, I can't talk about our team enough. I mean, I wouldn't be as fast as I am today. I wouldn't be where I am today without the team. Wayne Lowry, who's our team manager, he's been my mentor for, 20 years. So people who don't have that growing up, it's crazy because I understand why they don't have it to a certain extent, because it has to be a very unique relationship and you have to really trust each other a lot. But I'm just so extraordinarily blessed that there's no reason in the world I shouldn't be trying to do that for other people too, right? So that's all I can say about it. I can't even take credit for it.
That's absolutely amazing. And it's funny because I have a generator story with the Wolves too myself. So
yeah, that's awesome.
So we was in Atlanta, and their generator quit. And going down to the pits in Atlanta, you got to go down that big old hill, right?
Yes.
So down at the bottom of the hill, Rodney Vest is down there. And David comes up to me. He says, "Hey man, we're gonna go down here and go. Will you help me with this generator down there?" I'm thinking to myself, yeah, sure. Just a normal size generator, no problem.
Mm-hmm.
We go down there. It's like a
9500, baby. Yeah.
Bro, this huge generator. So
at least it has wheels.
Bro, okay, yeah. I hear you on
little
that.
Tiny ones.
So, little tiny ones. So, me, him, and Daniel, was like, okay, we'll bring the
Shoemaker,
what was it?
Daniel Shoemaker.
Yep, Daniel
Yep,
Shoemake.
he's awesome, dude.
He's absolutely amazing. Anyway, so we ended up pushing this thing up that hill, Philip, because the little
Oh,
50cc wasn't going to do it, right? So all up that hill. And so every time me and David see each other, he's like, hey, man, I need help with the generator. I said, no problem, bro. I got you. So, yeah, it's a little inside generator joke. But, yeah, no, serious aside, it was absolutely brutal pushing that thing up that hill
I
for
cannot
sure.
imagine that. That sucks.
Yeah.
That sucks.
I felt like I just tried out for the triathlon and absolutely made it. Even though I was done for the day, I was like, okay, I'm done. This was
That's
brutal
great.
right here with the heat. So yeah,
Oh yeah, and the humidity, road Atlanta. Whew, boy, it's
yeah,
sticky there, buddy.
it is. It really is. But yeah, it was just funny. I had to tell you that because it's a generator story. So good stuff. But that's one thing about our paddock and the people we meet, right? It's like they're our family. They're an extension to our personal family.
Yeah,
And if you ever need anything, whatever, they got you. I got you
yeah,
covered, no problem.
yeah,
Um,
yeah. And
and
I
it's
think the
such a
thing that's
beautiful
cool
thing.
is that um, Josh Hayes and Melissa Paris, back when Josh was winning the was it? I guess it was Moto America back then. Moto America Superbike Championships. I mean, Josh is super cool then, and he would, Josh and Melissa both have always been super cool. But I raced with Melissa back in the day, right? And so being able to kind of interact with them even today, with their kids and also they're awesome, right? But I mean, you've got guys like Brandon Posh and Rodeo and these kids that are kids, but they're at the top of their level or they're at the top of their sport in their divisions, right? And a lot of times in other forms of racing or other forms of sport, um, especially the people who are at the top of their game are a little bit standoffish. But I mean, Gus Rodeo. I mean, I met him. I think it was last year, the year before at Pitt. He's a cool dude, right? And then you got Brandon Posh. Brandon Posh is Brandon Posh. I mean, he's just a cool dude all the way around. And there's there's
Facts.
um there's a little bit of confidence and a little bit of arrogance that has to come from any high level of any sport, and that's okay, right? But a lot of these guys, even though they know they are the crap, or they know they got it, um, they're still super cool. They're still super giving of their time to other people. You know, they may not they may not tell you the fastest way around the track or tell you all their secrets, but at the same time, I mean, a lot of times you don't see that in any other sport, and that's one of the reasons I love motorcycle racing. I just, Jason Waters, dude, I will tell you this: Jason Waters is one of the coolest guys at the track. I mean, he has helped me out so many times, and there's really no reason for him to help me now. I'm starting to get a little bit closer to his time, so I think he's probably done with that. But I think, but I still have a long ways to go, and Jason has been a huge help to me, and Jason's been um, super, super kind, just that in and of itself, a competitor who's on the track at the same time racing in the races that you're racing, and Jason's like, oh yeah, I'm running this gearing, or oh yeah, I'm doing this, or my TC setting is this and my EV setting is that. I mean, dude, you're not going to get that anywhere else. And so I think that type of community, regardless of who it is. I mean, Taylor Knapp coming up to me, and trying to check up on me, making sure I'm good. That's awesome, right? I mean, that
It is.
you don't get that anywhere, and I love that. I absolutely love that. And my biggest thing for me and my team, regardless of whether we're Christians or not, regardless of whether we love Jesus and God and all that stuff, regardless of all that stuff, regardless of how fast we are, regardless of whether we're winning championships or in the back of the pack, I want us, me and my team, to be the nicest guys at the paddock, because I've seen it implemented so many times in so many other teams, and it made such a big difference to me and my character and to me as a person, that's like our top priority, is to, like, one, we want the bikes to look good, yes. Two, do we want to go fast? Obviously, like, that's all we're all here. But three, like, be the nicest person, be as nice as we possibly can to everybody at the track. And that seems to be a lot of people's goals, or a lot of people's goal at the track. And I love it. Just love it.
You're right, because you can. there's oftentimes you can come through the paddock and feel. I'm an energy guy, right? So you can feel
Yeah.
the energy is coming out of the pitch, and not
Yep.
all the time it's not good, right? But that's it. In the people you were talking about, like the legends, Gus Rodeo, Brandon Posh, Jason Waters, they are, yes, they're absolute legends and superstars. But when you meet them and you approach them, they will stop and give you the time, talk to you, smile for the camera, answer
Yep.
your questions.
Yeah.
Um,
Yep.
it's absolutely amazing that a high level competitor, everything that they put into it, everything that's going on during that session at the track, no matter how they're struggling, even if they're not struggling, still gives everybody the time in the day and puts out that positive energy, which is a big deal because you can approach somebody and tell that they're not in the mood just by the energy
Hmm.
that's coming off of them, right? And
Yeah.
they really don't want to be doing what they're doing. And that kind of makes you as a fan say, well, I really don't want to get a picture with him right now,
Yeah.
right?
Right.
Because of that.
Yeah.
But you're right. In this paddock, I feel that's very rare you come across that situation.
Yep. I would
Um,
agree with you. I would agree with you.
I,
And you know what? There's going to be times, right? There's
I
going to be
it
times
is,
where,
it is.
yeah, that's the
It,
case. Even with
yeah,
me or whoever else, like it doesn't like it. There's going to be a time where it's now is not the time to talk to me, or now is not the
yeah,
time to you know to be to you know to try to whatever. But I mean, there's going to be times like that for everybody, but it's not the norm, and I think that
no,
that's
it's
what's
not.
great.
It is. It speaks volumes of this is how I call it, Philip, is the beautiful circus we're in, right?
Yes,
It's such a
that's
beautiful
exactly
circus,
right.
but within every circus we do have clowns, right?
Yeah,
So uh,
yeah,
it's
that's right.
not meaning that in a bad way at all, just people
Sure.
that play and talk a lot of trash, but that's
Yeah.
that's what you're supposed to do, right?
Yep.
And I think that also helps keep people on their toes
It does.
within the
Yep.
paddock and put off that love and that energy and them good vibes, man, because that's what we're here for.
Yeah.
And the most important thing I tell all my friends as soon as they go out, right before they go out, I'm like, look, just have fun. That's why you're doing this.
Yep.
Don't worry about it. Have fun, and everything else will follow suit behind.
Yep. That's
So,
exactly
yeah,
right.
man,
Yep.
as long as you can, and it's hard when you're in that situation to see through that thick fog at the time, right? I mean, let's just be honest.
Yeah.
But again, going back to what we were saying previously, that's where that good fundamental of whether you have a girlfriend or a wife, or it's your best friend or your date guy or whoever it is there
Yep.
with you, it's imperative for them to basically, each other so well, you could just look at each other, exactly what you're saying, right?
Yeah. That's it. Yeah. In the video that we've got, I was actually kind of surprised because my team manager Wayne and I we do that a lot. So we have that relationship where we're just looking at some things, and it's so funny because sometimes the things that I'm saying make no sense. Like, yeah, we need to do this and that and that, and he's like, yep, 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 and he's just taking a mental checklist of all the things he needs to do, and there was nothing said of any value at all, but we know exactly what we need. He knows what I need, I know what he needs to see from me and all that stuff, and you're exactly right. That's awesome. It looks like Kevin Horney actually commented at the very beginning of the post, and I missed that. So
He did. He says,
hey,
"What's
what's
up,
up,
guys?
Kevin?
Phillips is an dude. Kevin is absolutely amazing. He's a really good friend of
Yeah,
mine."
he's a cool
And
dude.
I remember I first met Kevin. I seen a Facebook video on Facebook with him, and I had reached out to him, and that's how our relationship started.
That's cool.
It's I love our community, man. Because every time I come to the track, it's not high fives, it's hugs, right?
Yeah,
It's how
yeah,
you
right.
been. Even though I talked to you on the phone last week, it's like, man, I ain't seen you in a while. Bring it
Yeah,
on in. It's such a beautiful thing, and I can't wait, Philip, one day to where me and you actually get to sit down and meet.
yeah,
Um,
man. Our next race, we're hoping to go to Road Atlanta. I'm not sure if we're gonna be able to work that out with everybody's schedules and everything, but next race for sure is gonna be the GNF at Barber. So that'll be a good weekend. We're really excited for that.
when is that?
It's October. Let me check my phone here. See what time when the date of that is. End of October, I think. Nope, middle.
Okay, middle
So
of
16th
October.
through the 20th. Excuse me.
Yeah,
Yep.
September. I'll do my best to try to make that for sure.
Yeah, that's a good one because I mean, typically a lot of the pros show up for that one because it's a relatively good weekend to show up and be fast. So um, that's a really fun weekend. The track barber is, Mr. Barber still rides around every now and then. It's really super cool. And then Weira puts on an amazing event into, and Weira, collaborate to put on the endurance race that year, that weekend. It's a great event. I mean, it's it's one of the best events all year.
Yeah, that's what I hear. Everybody keeps telling me, Phil, dude, you got to go to Barber, and I will. I promise everybody, I'm gonna make it. I really want to go.
Have you ever been
And I
to
want
Barber?
to. No, I've never been, Phil. That's one track
Dude,
I've
oh,
never been. I
okay. You're
know,
gonna have
I
to go.
know, I
Yeah,
know, I
yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
I know.
You're gonna have to go.
If my funds will allow it, after
Yeah,
getting back from, because I'm going to Mid Ohio, then I'm hitting Jersey for the last
yeah.
round of the season. So
Heck yeah, dude.
I've been to 5 races so far this year, including MotoGP. So I've been a busy man traveling.
Yeah.
So
What
yeah, if my
what?
funds will allow it, absolutely.
So you went to Austin for the GP round?
Yep, yep.
Okay.
I go every
Okay.
year. I
Do
go
you really?
there.
That's awesome.
I fly out to one of my best friends. Jason lives in Oklahoma. From his doorstep to Coda is like 5 hour drive, right? So it just gives
Hmm.
us more time to spend together instead of me just flying straight to Texas, him picking me up. We get 3 days and then I fly out, right? It
Yeah,
gives us 4 or
absolutely.
5 days to spend that time together, which is important.
That's awesome.
Um, so we do that, and then I went to Atlanta, been to Wisconsin, going to Mid Ohio, going to Jersey, and yeah, I'm here at VIR for a track day, even though it's not a Moto America event, but it's an ASRA race weekend, and it's still a beautiful circus we're in, and it's racing, right? So
Right. Exactly.
yeah, I love it, man. I love it, but I will do my best because that's what everybody tells me. As soon as have you been to Barber? I'm like, no. They're like, bro, you got to go to
Yeah.
Barber. So
Barber's awesome.
I will do my best to make it out there in October for sure because it's a weekend
Okay.
event. So yeah,
Awesome.
if not, we'll you just send me the rest of your schedule for the rest of the year, and I'll see if I can make it to Atlanta. Would be a lot easier for me to make because it's a 6 hour drive for me. I can just
Okay.
my best friend, he lives 20 minutes from the track, so I can just crash in his
Nice.
basement, get up, go to the track. It's a lot easier for me to do that.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. Well, and if
but
we can make it, if the team is able to make it this year, we're really hoping that we can. Um, then I'll text you. I think it's just we're a regional. So there's no endurance racing or anything like that. But if we can make it, I'll text you and let you know.
yeah, let me know. I'll definitely meet you there, 100%. If not, if it don't happen this year, Philip, it's like I always tell my son, hey, things happen when they're meant to happen.
That's right.
Um, you
That's
can't
right.
you can't force it because if you force it to make it happen sooner than it's meant to happen, it's not going to be the same.
You crashed
Um,
three weekends out of four? Yeah.
yeah, so
Yeah.
it's yeah,
I've
yeah,
been there, done
right.
that, my
Three
man.
weekends, right. So you got to let it happen the way it's meant to
Yeah.
happen, the way it's supposed to happen, and yeah.
Yeah.
So there's no doubt that we won't. And I'm a big hugger, just to let you know.
Hey,
So
bro, I'm a big
prepare
hugger too.
yourself for a
Yeah.
big old bear hug, because
Yeah.
yeah,
My
I
wife
like it.
says
But
I'm
listen,
weird because I love people too much. So it's all right.
no, dude, I love everybody too, man. It's listen. This is what I tell everybody, Philip. It's like our life is so short, right? And
It
one of
is.
my favorite things to tell people is none of us are strangers. We're just friends that haven't met yet.
Yeah, that's
Um,
good. I like that. That's good.
yeah. So I believe that, and that's my motto. And yeah, it's my mom always told me I never met a stranger anyway, right? So that goes
Yeah.
along with kind of what I just said.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing. It really is. But listen, we're almost an hour into this, Philip. We'll definitely get a
That's crazy.
schedule part two. I know. I told you it's gonna go by quick. There's still so much more. Me and you got to talk about your
There he
story.
is. Yep.
Growing Moto America more, like the conversation we had before the
Yep.
podcast.
Yep.
But before we get off here, I want to do a couple quick fire personal questions. I'm gonna save the
Okay.
rest for our next podcast. And at the end of this, I'm gonna let you give all your shout outs to all your sponsors and your team and everybody. I'll do the same
Okay.
as well. And then we'll just stay on together for another minute. We'll set up another day and time, and yeah, we'll make it happen. So let me ask you this, Philip. Are you a pineapple on pizza guy?
I can be. Yeah. My dad's a huge pineapple. He loves pineapple on pizza. So, growing up, we had that a lot. I, my, let's see, we just had pizza Friday. So we typically, for the kids, just order, pepperoni pizza and stuff like that. But If I order it myself, probably not gonna have pineapples on it. But if there's pineapples on it and I'm eating it, I'm good with whatever. I'm really not picky when it comes to food. I haven't been able to find now. There probably going to be some slack. I'm going to get some slack from this, but I'm not a huge Thai fan, like a Thai food guy. Like I haven't found something that I
Boo!
know, I know. I haven't found something.
Boo!
I haven't found my jam in it yet. So because typically, like Italian, I can basically eat anything Italian. Um, all these other types of foods, I'm good with. I haven't found a Thai food that I've been able to eat yet. So outside of that, I'm not picky when it comes to food. But even if we were, if you're like, hey, we're gonna go eat some Thai, I'm gonna get you a meal, it'd probably be good. So it's fine.
I love Thai, man. I love Thai food, Indian food, Greek food, Italian food. I love all kinds of food, and I like spicy food. Do you like your food spicy, Philip?
Yeah, I mean it's not my like I'm not gonna get something super super spicy. I have some friends who like oof. One friend in particular loves ghost peppers, and I don't understand that at all. That doesn't make any sense to my brain. Because there's so much pain involved for me
There is,
that
yeah.
it's not really my jam. But I can do a little bit of spicy. I can do a little bit of spicy.
I got you. I got you. I like spice. It's like it's almost for me like I got to be in a certain mood. I'm like, you know what? I
Yeah,
just want
that's
to
fair.
murder myself. I want
Yeah,
to murder myself today. I want to be in so much pain I can't take it. Right. And but the
yeah,
flip side of that, what was so funny with that, Philip, is that when you're going through that pain, it's almost kind of like when you feel the most alive because it's
that's
such a
fair.
mental challenge, right?
Yeah,
But when that pain goes away, it's such this euphoria high that you can't reach anywhere else. It's really hard to explain.
yeah,
It's like you want to come back for more and get the abuse.
yeah.
Um,
Sure, that's fair.
and it's kind of hard to fathom when you think about it because you're like, wait, what? Uh, yeah, it's even myself. So the hottest thing I ever ate, my buddy, because I like real hot spice stuff. He's like, dude, I'm gonna burn you up. I'm gonna find some that's just gonna make you pass out. Blah blah blah. I'm like, okay. So he comes over. He's like, I got something for you. I was like, I can't wait to eat it. They were, I forget what I think the Death Nut Peanut Challenge. They were 13 million Scoville. I ate 6 peanuts, and yeah, it took me 2 weeks to recover from that. Um,
Oh, 2 weeks.
Yeah, 2 week, like for as far as my taste buds coming back, it totally ruined those. I've
Oh.
never used ice cream sandwiches like that before in my life. Um, yeah, it totally changed me. I was a
Yeah.
changed man after that, Philip. Yeah, that was a yeah. So that's my
Oh,
story
that's
on the
rough, dude.
hottest food.
That's rough.
Yeah, it was rough. It was so bad. Like I told my wife because you ever watch the hot ones on YouTube? The
I've
guy that
seen
does the
snippets of it.
interviews.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so their last bottle of hot sauce called the Last Dab. It's like 3 million Scoville, I think. And I got a couple bottles of that. And dude, it's really good though. Yes, it is hot, but it's actually got flavor, right? So it's really
Okay,
good.
that's good.
So I'm in there, I'm crying, I'm screaming. I say, I need you to go to the refrigerator, grab the Last Dab hot sauce, and bring me the biggest spoon you can. I'm in there just eating spoonfuls of this hot sauce, trying to do anything I can to take my mind off my bottom half. It was, yeah.
Yeah.
Um, I almost wanted to go to the hospital. I said, I think you might need to call 911. I don't know what's going on. But yeah, so yeah, that's the hottest thing I ever ate. Will I do it again? Absolutely not.
That's
Um,
good.
yeah, been there and done that. But as far as like the scorpion peppers and all that, habaneros, I like them. I won't eat them raw. I ate one raw one time. It was absolutely intense, but then it went away pretty quick. I don't like them raw. I'd rather cook with them. To me, I'm
Okay.
a cooking guy with them,
Yeah.
right? It
Yep.
it it kind of hampers down the heat, but it adds flavor to food. I don't like the type of heat that's all you taste, right? That's all your food. That's why I don't like
Yeah. Right.
sriracha. I don't like sriracha. It's good, but anything you put sriracha on, guess what? It tastes like sriracha.
That's fair. That's
Um,
fair. I love
so
sriracha.
listen, okay. Well, so Philip, anything you put sriracha on my hamburger, guess what it tastes like? Sriracha with
Sriracha.
meat.
Yeah.
That's it. So listen, I'm gonna give you a real quick recipe. It's 2 ingredients. That's all you
Okay.
need. So everybody listening, grapeseed oil. You can buy it at any grocery
Rapeseed
store,
oil.
right?
All right.
And crushed red pepper. Mix them both 50-50, 30-40, however you want to do it. You shake it up, you let it sit. It's only going to get as hot as the crushed red peppers are to begin with,
Okay.
but it adds a little bit of heat, not much. It adds a little bit of heat to your food, but it does not change the flavor profile of anything.
Oh,
So it's
interesting.
simple. Yes, it's simple. It's easy to make. When you get off here, if you text your wife, say, "Hey, I need grapeseed oil, crushed red pepper." Try it in a little container. The longer you sit, the redder it's going to get because it's pulling
Pulling
the
the
stuff
yep.
out of the out of the. But man, it's so good, and you put it in soup, salads, cheese, whatever you want. It's
Okay. I like
so
that.
yeah,
I like that.
it's yeah,
I'm gonna have to try
good
that.
stuff,
I'll let
man.
you know how that
You
goes.
will. It's trust me, you're gonna be like, dude, Simcoe, it was absolutely amazing. I got 5 jars of it pre-made already. So yeah, I do. But yeah. So listen, let me ask you this, Philip. What's your
hmm
worst habit?
My worst habit?
Your worst habit.
I probably drink too much beer and these things, these ends. That's probably it.
What is the Zen? Is that energy
It's like
drink?
a pouch. No, it's like a pouch, like a nicotine pouch.
Oh, okay, I got you.
Yeah.
I got you. Yeah, my worst habit, man, is I quit smoking cigarettes, but I vape, right? So I'm trying to
Oh
keep the
yeah,
vaping habit.
yeah.
So it's yeah, that and honestly, I'm a procrastinator when I do because I'm constantly go go go, right? If I'm not
hmm
reaching out to guests for the podcast, doing a podcast, working full time, being a full time husband, dad, trying to get some PlayStation time, track days,
Yeah.
ride my motorcycle, whatever it is, when I finally have 6 hours to do nothing, this guy right here ain't doing
But
shit, right? Like
yeah,
I'll sit on the couch and just melt into it and be like,
yeah.
okay, I'm good. Leave
I'm
me
I'm
alone
probably the same way. I'm probably the same way. I'm go 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 until I'm not. And when I'm
until
not,
I'm
I'm
not.
not. I'm not doing
Um,
nothing.
when
Not
I'm
doing anything.
offline, that's it. I'm offline. Don't
Yeah.
plug me back in because I will not recharge.
Now let me ask you this. My wife is full gas all the time. And somehow, I don't know how she does it. She's full gas all the time. And she kills anything that she wants to do. She kills it. Is your wife the same way?
When she, if certain things she wants to do, absolutely. It's go,
Yeah.
go, 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 go. But she's a little bit like me too. When there ain't nothing to do, she's like, "Oh, I'll do the laundry later, right?" And then
Yeah,
I'm
that's
thinking,
good.
I'm like, yeah, I'll be like, well, I got my laundry because I do my own laundry.
Okay.
I do
There you
my
go.
own laundry. I fold my own laundry. So I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna go down there and do my laundry, and then I'll forget about it for a day because I ain't got nothing to do, and I don't want to go down there and get it right. That's that procrastination part,
Yeah.
and then I got to rewash it. So yeah,
Yeah.
I feel you on that. It's absolutely. So let me ask you this, Phil. Tell us something we don't know about you at all.
Hmm. I don't know. I'm a pretty open guy. Okay. All right. So there were two things that I told my wife before we ever started talking. There's several people who know this, but um, this is probably something that not everybody knows. Um, Lauren and I started talking, and I knew immediately that it was going to be serious. Like if we went down this road, it was going to be like I was going to be all in, and it was going to be that's what it was going to be for me. But I was concerned about two things, and I said there's two things you need to know about me before we even start dating or anything like that. And she's like, okay, like dot dot dot, kind of in the message and whatever. You don't ever know what somebody's going to say. I said I'm a huge nerd. I love Lord of the Rings, and I will play video games till the day I die. I don't play them all the time, but when I do play them, I am fully vested in whatever I'm playing, whether it's Skyrim, Call of Duty. You know, I'm an equal opportunity loser. So I mean, I can play anything and love it, right? Fortnite. I got a cousin who streams Fortnite. He's been pretty successful at that, and so I can play anything, but I love it. And there's something that it does for me that's just awesome. I love reading the Lord of the Rings books. I love listening to them on Audible. I love watching them. Just Star Wars. Oh my gosh, Star Wars. Like I'm a huge, huge nerd when it comes to that. I said, and then the other thing is racing, because obviously at the time when we were starting to talk, I wasn't racing. And I said, I'm at some point in my life, I will get back into racing and it will be a huge part of my life. And I said, if you're not okay with those things, I said, that's cool. I could see how, that wouldn't be cool to a lot of people. So I said, but that's who I am. And that's probably the two things that you need to know about me, that are not the most important, but they're the things that could probably cause complications later on in life, 10, 20 years down the road where I'm still playing video games and I'm still racing motorcycles. And dude, I'm telling you what, she's like, oh, that's not a problem. No problem. And she has stuck by that to this day. She has never gone back. She's never given me a hard time about needing some video game time or needing to go to the racetrack and spending all this money to go to the racetrack and all that, she's never given me a problem about it. So she's been awesome. But that's probably something that a lot of folks. Oh, I will say this. Now we'll save that for next time. We'll save that for next
Okay.
time.
All right.
Yeah,
All right. Listen, that's awesome because I'm a huge nerd too. I love playing my video games when I get a chance. I'm same thing. I played Assassin's Creed. I like
yeah,
Call of Duty,
yeah,
Rod 5, all that stuff. So we'll have to
yep,
exchange gamer tags when we get on there
yep.
and hit it
I
up for
just bought
sure. And
college football or
oh,
NCAA,
nice,
the new one.
nice.
Dude, it's so good, so good.
Yeah, another buddy of mine, he just got it too. He's a big football guy. Let me ask you this, man, because I'm a
Hmm.
huge Star Wars nerd. I
Hmm.
have not really watched Lord of the Rings at some or Harry Potter, right? I need to sit down and actually,
Oh,
yes, I know I need to sit down and actually do it. But let me ask you this. I got two of them for you.
okay.
What Star Wars character would you be?
Oh, uh, I would like to be Luke. I don't know if that would line up with who I am, but I probably, I can see. I mean, I'd probably like to be Luke, I guess. Now, the crazy thing is that when Anakin comes up, and you see, little kid Anakin in episode 1, and then episode 2 comes around. That Anakin in episode 2, I can relate to quite heavily.
Me too.
Um, and that's a little scary. But I think
Yeah.
it's a good thing to kind of understand that and see stuff like that about yourself, because obviously he becomes the bad guy, right? Spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't seen Star Wars yet, um, but yeah, I can relate. I can relate to him and what he struggles with quite a bit. Trying to not being seen when you're performing, relatively well, um, falling in love, all that stuff. Um, but but yeah, probably either Anakin or Luke. I would probably prefer to be Luke, obviously.
Yeah, I feel you on that. That second Anakin, it was he did it for the love of his wife. I mean, let's just be honest, right? And who wouldn't
Hmm.
make that sacrifice, even though at the time when he made that decision, he didn't know what a decision he was really making
Right,
because his head wasn't in a good spot, right?
right. Yep.
But yeah, it's I love Star Wars, dude. My wife's like, oh my god, here we go. Like me and my son, we watch Disney Plus. Every Star Wars episode, cartoon, we're
Yeah.
in it.
Yeah.
Absolutely, it's absolutely awesome. I haven't listened to any Star Wars book, and I'm a big audiobook guy. I need
Oh,
to. So
you
what
want some
Star Wars book?
recommendations?
I do. Give me a
Okay.
Star Wars book recommendation.
Okay. First one. I'm looking through my thing here. I want to get the. All right. Hopefully it doesn't start. It is. It's going to start. I don't want it to start. All right. I don't know if you can see that right there. Oh, that started
No,
to focus.
a little bit. Star Wars. It's so sunny out here. I can't really see it on my phone.
All right.
Just
So
text
it's
it to me.
yeah, it's Star Wars Thrawn by Timothy Zahn.
Duran.
Yep.
All right.
That's a really good first one. And then there's actually a Thrawn trilogy that's really good.
One of my favorite Star Wars characters was always Darth Maul, man. When he brought out that double bladed lightsaber, I was like, "What is that? Are you kidding me right
Yeah,
now?"
but
Yeah, that was.
have you seen the animated series though,
I have.
where he's in it?
Yep.
He's kind of a punk in those. So I was a
He
huge
was kind of a punk.
I was kind of disappointed when I saw that, because I was like, Darth Maul was super cool until he got cut in half. And then when I saw some of I didn't see all of the animated series, but when I saw some of it, I was like, yeah, he's a little bit of a punk.
Yeah, yeah, and then him and Obi-Wan come together for the last time. Yeah, it
Yeah.
was. I like those side stories, man, because it gives you a different perspective. Actually, it gives you a broader picture of the whole story instead
What was
of.
your favorite series? Like a spin-off, like not the main movies, but like, you had Rogue One, and then you had some of the actual TV series like Mandalorian,
Yeah.
Obi-Wan Kenobi, some of those.
Oh man, that's a great question because it's a hard question because I really like all of them. But if I have to just choose one, man, Two of them. I know you said one, but two. One is the Bad Batch. It was a
Okay.
cartoon.
Yep, I've heard that
That
was
was
really good. I haven't watched
absolutely.
it.
Oh man, it's so good because you got the clones that chip. They didn't go by the Order 66. They're still good. They want to help fight against So it was really good. And then the other one, man, because I'm a huge Obi-Wan fan, I'd have to say, yeah, probably Obi-Wan.
That one's my
Um,
favorite. That one's my favorite.
it
Yeah.
it shows a deeper side of Obi-Wan, and his still love for Anakin.
Ewan McGregor absolutely knocked that out of the park.
He did
He killed it.
absolutely.
He did a great job.
So yeah, those are all of them are so good though. Just like uh the new one, the Acolyte. Have you seen that yet?
I haven't. Mm-mm.
All right, so it's been getting a lot of like negative comments and flack. I think it's really good. So
Oh,
you'll have to
really?
give me your opinion. Yes, well, once you start. Matter of
Okay.
fact, it got so bad that I don't even think they're going to make a second season. Um,
Mm.
yeah, you just do your own research on like YouTube and on the internet. You'll see a bunch of just
I've heard
BS.
I've heard a lot of negativity about it, and
It is.
I haven't watched it. So, but
It's
maybe I have to give
two
it a shot.
thumbs up, dude.
Yeah.
You're going to. It's
Cool.
absolutely a great series. So yeah, man. Um, yeah, dude. I'm a nerd, dude. I love it when I hear other people that are nerds like me. Right? I'm like, yes, we're still a kid right here, and
That's right. Yes, sir.
I think having that mentality, but also being a grown up, still wanting to do childish stuff. Like, who says it's childish to play video games? What makes Star Wars childish? It's not. It's
Hmm.
but keeping that is also helping us stay young in the mind, right? I
I
think
think
that's
so too.
very
Yep.
important.
Yep.
A lot of things, you hear people, oh, I'm old, I'm this. I'm like, dude, quit saying that. You're not old. Oh, yeah, I'm 55. I'm like, bro, you got a beautiful life. You're not old. Think
Yep.
positive. Think like a kid again, right? It'll make
Yeah.
you happy. It'll make your soul happy on the inside.
Absolutely.
Um,
I agree with that wholeheartedly.
yeah.
Yep.
So, but listen, we're an hour and 20 minutes in this. I'm gonna get off here in a minute so I can go out here and
Yeah.
watch these races that are going on. But Philip, before we get off here, I need you to tell everybody where they can find you, where your next race is coming on, and all your sponsors.
All right. Awesome. So you guys can find me at Hart Racing. I think it's Hart Racing Official on Instagram. Should be Hart Racing on Facebook. Um, we just released a TV series, so episode 1 is up. I say TV series. It's a video series that Full Gas Productions is doing for us, and Aaron Dearborn, and so he has knocked this first video out of the park. I mean, it is. I mean, I know I'm in it a lot, and I'm not saying it's good because I'm in it. He killed the edit on this. It's awesome. I really enjoyed it. So, Heart Racing on YouTube. That video is posted now, and all the sponsors. There's so many people that have supported me over the years, and even support me recently that I would leave so many people out, but some of the big ones from the industry standpoint are Vogue Towers. Um, those folks have been a huge blessing from God. They just really have been. They've supported us from the very beginning, even when I was racing back in the day. They weren't Vogue Towers back then, but the people were there and they were supporting us back in the Faith on Wheels days. When we were racing. And next one is Hart Real Estate. My wife is the broker of her own firm. She has several agents that work under her as well. So she's obviously a huge supporter of what we're doing. 1X, as you can see in the suit behind me here, they're a huge supporter as well. They make the best suits. I mean, they they are awesome. Tulio and Bruna, they've been fantastic to work with. They've just been great, and the suits hold up. The suits are extremely comfortable, and they do very, very well. KWS Motorsports, nobody else builds a bike better. I mean, Mike Godin is the GOAT. He's the greatest of all time, and there's a reason why. He builds everybody's bikes. He builds Stefano Mesa's bikes. Um, he built Jeff May's Honda back in the day when Hondas weren't competitive. I mean, Mike was able to make that bike competitive, and so um, they've I can't really say enough about them because they've been such awesome people. And Mike is now I think he's the crew chief for Kayla Yakov. and look at her success this year, right? So, I mean, if you guys are looking to get into racing, if you're looking to get into getting a good track bike, KWS Motorsports. And if you need a contact, if you need some information, if you need anything, you can reach out to me on one of our social channels, and I'll be more than happy to point you in their direction because they're awesome. Stick Boy Racing, Derek and Honey have been phenomenal at always helping out at the track, and they are a huge proponent of the success of the team throughout the weekend. And then, Corey Maynard and Dunlop have been great as well to help where they can. And then there's so many, man. Farm Bureau Insurance is a local insurance agency around here. Ryan Dunn owns that. Ryan has come on board and supported us in the last few years and has been awesome to support us. We've been so blessed with so many people, and I'm sure that I'm forgetting some, but I think those are probably the big ones. So thank you all very much for that, and thank you, Chris, for giving me the platform to be able to say that.
Oh man, listen, Philip, nothing but love for you and everybody else that always watches and likes and subscribes. And if you guys haven't had a chance, please go to my YouTube channel and hit that like and subscribe button.
Yep.
It helps me out a whole lot. Yeah, and my sponsors. So I got Next Level Financial, Bison Track, RD Racing, Jake Marsh, Chef Eats, which is by the most amazing food ever. Have you tried any Chef Eats, Philip?
No, I haven't. No, so I have heard that it's really good, but I haven't actually had any yet.
Well, I'm gonna have to get you two in contact with each other. It's
that'd be awesome.
absolutely amazing. And what I love about it is like I've tried a lot of food, dude. Hello Fresh and all this. They send it to you, put it in the microwave, and the chicken's like rubber hard. The steak's not any good because it's rock solid, right? But Chef Eats,
right.
man, his food.
Yes.
It's juicy, it's tender, I can't say it enough. It's absolutely amazing. No, I don't get no money at all by Chef Eats or any of that. I don't even ask. I believe in what he's doing, and his food is so good. I'd love to see it throughout the whole entire paddock. That's how much I love his food and believe in him. So, yeah, you guys, if you haven't signed up for Chef Eats yet, I say it all the time. What are you guys waiting on? It's real easy. Go to chefeats.com. You could do both. Put you like this. You get 11 meals for $100. You can't go to the grocery store and make 2 of those meals for $100.
Wow,
dude, I'm telling you, I had the last one that I ate. It was 2 weeks ago. I need to order some more. It was a Philly cheesesteak tortellini. Oh my god, it was so good. Like I wish I had another one. I would have banged. My inner fat kid would have been like, you know what? You need to eat that again, right? It's So it's Chef Eats. But anyway, listen, guys, I'm at VR. I'm gonna get off here. I'm gonna go watch all my friends in this last race, and then I'm gonna head home myself and get ready for the work week. Philip, again, I can't say it enough. It's an absolute honor to have you on. I'm so looking forward.
Honored to be here, man.
Part 2, part 3, and even more. I can't wait to actually meet you in real life. We're gonna have a great weekend that weekend for sure. So you guys stay tuned. I got many more podcasts coming up, and I'm gonna try to do one live at Mid Ohio with
Nice.
Birch. He's a K Tech. He works at K Tech.
Oh, you're getting Birch on. Heck yeah,
I'm getting
dude.
Birch on. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, so you guys stay tuned because I got many more coming. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoy the rest of your Sunday. And like I always say, I hope your day is just as mega as you are. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, Philip Hart. All right. Hang on. Let me end this.